Expectations are a real important part of your behaviour management repertoire or toolbox. It's central to what we do with behaviour management. It's one of those key philosophies and key terms that are really important with everything you do. Students need to know from day one that you're very clear about what you want them to do. Adults are exactly the same. If you're not clear about exactly what you expect, people will test boundaries and or behave in certain ways that you think is misbehaving, but that the person may think that they're just having a chat to their friends. It's always important to sit down with, for example, if you're working in a small group, right, today I don't mind if you're having a chat as long as the volume's really low, I can't hear you, it's almost a whisper, but you're still getting heaps of work done. And if you're not getting heaps of work done, then dead silent. Okay? Setting a clear, simple expectation at the start of the lesson or the start of, even if you're working with those students for 10 minutes. If you take them out, for example, to play basketball for a little bit, you may just say, for 30 seconds, okay, no mucking around, no pushing, no blah, 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 or even ask students, what do you think I expect? And we're talking about negotiating here as well. Setting clear expectations, super important, even if it spends a little bit of time on it at the beginning of the lesson, or the beginning of each day, or the beginning of whenever you're talking to a student, and it means that you don't have behaviour management problems later on. Again, like our last video, we're talking about being proactive with behaviour as opposed to waiting for it to occur and then having to react to it and deal with it, which is time consuming, stressful, and can hurt the rapport you've got with the student. Some important concepts with setting expectations, being super clear about it, being clear in your own mind. What we do a lot in our behaviour management seminars and our course is getting students to write down, okay, exactly what are you going to do if a student throws something? Exactly what are you going to do if a student is chewing gum or walks into a classroom bouncing a basketball, wearing a hat, swears or starts a fight, those types of things. We even do it on a little table as well. That way you're clear in your mind what you're going to do and the student's clear in their mind exactly what you're going to do when you explain it to them. Being persistent, obviously that's probably not the best word to use here, but making sure that you're consistent is probably a better word there. And the last half hour of the day, if you're a little bit tired, make sure that your expectations, your rules, your regulations continue to be followed through and continue to be exactly the same. In saying that, you can be flexible on the time of the day, depending on the student and the subject matter that you're talking about or you're teaching. Negotiating with students is really important as well. Right, today we're playing basketball. What are the rules? What are we going to do? What happens if one student gets a bit rough? What do we do? And the student may say, well, we sit down and that person has to calm down for 5 minutes. Something like that. And making sure you follow through on consequences, your bump 2, bump 3, bump 4 stuff. From earlier videos. Okay. The other thing with expectations is expecting that while your rules are very clear, if students still break those rules or misbehaving, that you expect them to comply with the consequences for their behaviour, the behaviour that they've chosen, the decision that they've made to misbehave. For example, Johnny, I want you to move over there. Johnny, outside now, I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thank you. And you're off. You expect them to comply and you continue with doing something different. An interesting thing to talk about here would be what we call secondary behaviour. Johnny, if he's been kicked outside, will probably stand up and kick his chair. And that's fine. He does that so that he, in a way, doesn't lose face and looks compliant in front of his friends. But remember, he's still complying with your request, so we leave that secondary behaviour aside. And the best thing to do is walk over there, pick up the chair, put it back down. You're still in control of the class ultimately. And later on, when he calms down, you could say something like, by the way, why'd you kick that chair? That was pretty silly. Okay, expectations, really important. Be clear in your own mind of what you expect before you start, as far as behaviour, as far as consequences, and as far as how much of a task or how much work you want them to get done on a particular day.